I'm gonna try and start again. I've just been rambling, carrying on. I've had that down the whole time because of the glare. Sorry people, you're gonna have a traffic video, this one, clearly. Welcome viewers, or welcome back to anyone that's subscribed. I've honestly lost count. I think this is attempt number 4 for this video. I tried it at first and then it was super glary. That was a great exit. It was super glary, so I thought, okay, I'll restart it. And then I recorded and realized that I had this down still from the glare. It sort of cuts out a lot of the view for you guys. So I restarted, and then I had a phone call, and so I cut it out for that, and then I restarted again, and I think I got halfway through and the battery went flat. So I thought, okay, I can use half of it. I can use half of the video, and I tried to watch back, like just clicked on it and went, okay, well, where was I up to in my story? I don't know why people in this left lane. I thought he was going to come over. So I was slowing down to let him over, but now I'm going quicker than him. Probably be stuck behind this Micway here. So I want to get over left. I'll have to get him behind this uterus, I think. We'll get him behind him. There's no one behind him, so we'll take this position. Yeah, then I tried to watch it and realised that I had the camera facing upwards like this. Hopefully we can get through. I've just put a half an hour charge on it, so hopefully it's, you know, in the past half an hour or 20 minutes or whatever it's been on charge, it's enough for me to get through a little story. Through the few things I tried to video, if you want to watch all the way to the end, I mean, thank you, but if you watch all the way to the end, I might try and just cut a few little things out of, because I had to toot at someone. I think I got that on video. They just stopped right in front of me. I'll put all that, I'll just make a few little clips, I'll put that right at the end. So I'm a typical, watch the way to the end and you can see the extras. I don't know, either that or you can just click all the way to the end. Click like 2 minutes from the end and you'll be able to just watch the other stuff. I'll put in a little clip here first because that's how I actually wanted to start the video, but I thought, oh look, I've got to tell you, I've tried to do this one 4 times. I'm doing my best for you guys and girls, okay? So I'll start the video with the first little clip of that thing and then you'll see what this video is about and then I'll come back. Welcome viewers, or welcome back to anyone that's subscribed. This will be the first sort of little test, if you will, on how we go in a bit of dim light. Not like that guy's headlights. Far out. Obviously it's coming up to almost night time, but I've got to pull in up here and I've got to check my scales. So anyone that's not truck related, or even some people that are, that either don't know or just don't care, a lot of trailers or even a lot of trucks will have scales on them, so you know how much weight you've got on and you know where the weight's distributed. Anyway, the scales on this trailer stopped working, so we've got some new scales installed, but you need to calibrate them. So to do so, you need to go over a weigh bridge. The place that I commonly load out of doesn't have a weigh bridge, so you've just got to go to well, another weigh bridge. You've got to go to one somewhere so you can actually say this is how much weight's on it, and this is, you know, you calibrate your scale to do that. So just on the way heading down to Melbourne, and I knew this would be, I've seen one person on this scale before, and it was a bloke with a caravan. So I'm assuming it shouldn't be too awkward to operate. It doesn't look super wide. plenty of room for me. Okay, I'm just looking at this. Forward, forward, forward. It's telling me to go forward. Slow. Stop. Okay, now I don't drive in thongs, so I'm just going to put them on. Okay, touch screen to begin. Hopefully you can see this. Heavy vehicle. I guess this one. First way. Gross. Is your vehicle positioned correctly? We've only got a single trailer, so we'll be A, B and C. Oh yeah, so A will be here, this set, B will be that second set, and C's, yep, we're good. Okay, $45. Sure. Okay, we're not going to get hit by that. Do I need to put my card in maybe? Oh. Tap card over pin pad, okay. Okay, that was easy. Okay. That was easy. So what we'll do now is we'll just go and park over here somewhere. And check our weights to what our docket says. So the docket is telling me gross mass 41.92 tonne. Platform A, which is your steer tyre, 6.26 tonne. Your drive tyres, 15.48. And the trailer is 20.18. We might park under this next one because there's a little street light there. That might give us a little bit of light. That should be perfect, actually. All we need is my flathead screwdriver. And what we needed is this here. I don't know if you can see, 20.18 tonne. So we'll come here, pull this out, and we want 20.18. So we'll turn that. It's 250, so it's just under 250, so that'll do. Check that a few times. And what I'll do, I'll check that it's exactly at that spot when I pull up in the morning to make sure that it hasn't jiggled around anywhere. But obviously the weight of the trailer is not going to change. before we get to where we need to go to tomorrow. So hopefully that didn't cut out because I walked away from this. Hopefully it's still going. Oh, look at her. She's blowing a bit of fucking smoke. She's doing a regen. Love to see it. Yeah, so you've seen that first little thing. We're talking about scales, okay? Now, I don't always have 100 things or 100 sort of stories or whatever going around in my mind all the time, you know. Sometimes there's not much at all going on in there. My missus will tell me that. Shane, sometimes you're the dumbest fucking person I know. Happy relationship. Nah, we're all good. But yeah, so sometimes it takes for me to do something or, you know, certain things until I go, ooh, I can talk about that story, or I remember this thing that happened. Now, if you're new here, here's a story for you. I can't remember if I've told this one before or not. So if I've told this one before and you've already sat through this, sorry, but we'll go through it again. Either that or you can go and watch something else. But we're talking about the time today that I got told I was overweight. Now, overweight, not me being soft in the midsection, not because I've got a bit of a stomach on me. They said, someone's got their good jakes on. This thing doesn't make any noise. I can hear someone else giving it that. So, yeah, I went to a weighbridge and it was too heavy. So we'll talk about that story today. And it took me to, like, calibrating the scales and all that to go, because the old scales on this trailer were a digital set. I don't know what's happened with them, whether they've got wet, whether they just don't work, whether the airline feeding them wasn't, I don't know, but it was just always coming up with 0. I don't know how to recalibrate a digital set of scales. We had our guy look at it. He obviously couldn't figure it out, so he just, I'll get you a new set of scales, put it on the trailer, and well, you saw how it worked. You just pull the bloody pin out and a needle goes up to where, you know, where it is. So simple, easy to figure out. Once they're calibrated, you know where it's at. Every couple of months, you know, you just sort of want to try and recalibrate it. If you're going over weighbridges constantly, then you can calibrate it as often as you like. You know, just to double check, okay, the weighbridge says this, you pull it out, you come out. But see, if you're going over weighbridges all the time, the place I pick up from commonly, they don't have weighbridges. So you just got to, you know, do what you do. But if you go to a place that commonly has a weighbridge, you don't even check your scales at all because you've got the weights from the weighbridge. Anyway, so I was at another company before I worked here. If you know, you know. It doesn't matter who it was, but I was working at another place, and I'd come down, same place, come down to Sydney, and had a pickup, and it was like, oh yeah, easy day. I've only got one pickup. Fuck yeah, go to this place, and all of a sudden it was like, okay, we've got 16 ton for you, and then all of a sudden it was, oh, can you fit an extra few pallets on? Yeah, no worries, sweet, I can fit a few more on. So anyway, it turned into 18, which turned into 20, which turned into 24, which turned into, oh, we've got a bit, you know, can you take this? And I'm starting to go, oh, well, I'm starting to get up there, you know, like, I can only take so much. I'm only going right back to Newcastle. And anyway, so they're, okay, I want this here and want that there, you know, you're working out your weights and then what your axles and all this sort of stuff. Anyway, it came to the point where they said, oh, can you fit one extra thing on? And I was right on the limit of, you know, like, oh, I don't know. Anyway, I said, how heavy is it? Whatever it was, I can't remember how heavy it was. And I said, oh, look, if you move that one, because it was a lightish one, I said, move that one up a bit move that one down and we'll put that on top. And I said, that should even the weights out. Anyway, I was like, yep, that'll be sweet. Anyway, throw my straps over, strap everything down, close the curtains up, close all my buckles, everything's done. Sweet. And then I air the truck up, turn the truck on, check the scales, because this place didn't have a weigh bridge. Check the scales, and I was like, fuck. On my tri-axle, so your rear, at the back of your trailer, you got 3 axles. We were running mass management, so you can go like gross weight, you can go 44 ton, or over the tri-axle you can go to 21 ton. Now you do have, at least in New South Wales, I don't know about everywhere, so you know, don't persecute me, but in New South Wales you're allowed a 250 kilo tolerance. But if you are 250 kilo or up to 250 kilos over, say on any group set of axles, you can't be over even 1 kilo anywhere else. So I'm like, okay, well you can go to 21.25 on your tri-axle, and that's where I was going to be heavy. Anyway, pull the pin out, goes up. I was like, fuck, 21.3. So I was like, oh, far out. I'm 50 kilos over the tolerance. Come on, truck drivers. What would you have done? I've already strapped down. I've already closed the curtains on the truck, on the trailer. I've already clipped the whole thing up. I've got the paperwork. I'm ready to go. She'll be right. Let's go. We're rolling. I didn't give a fuck about 50, you know, like, we're right, you know, like, I'm not going to get caught in at the bloody weigh bridge. I'm not going to get caught in. I'll be right. Famous last words, weren't they? Get to Mount White, heading northbound, and see the light on the bridge with an arrow facing this way. Enter weigh bridge. For fuck's sake. Shit. Anyway, so I enter the weigh bridge, and there's 2 guys there. Hey, how you going? I was like, yeah, I'm alright. How you going? He said, yeah. License and logbook, please. So, anyway, get them, hand them straight out. And they said, where are you coming from? I said, oh, just in Sydney. Mount Druitt. They said, where are you going to? I said, Newcastle. They said, oh, okay. I said, what do you got on board? I said, pet food, you know, produce and all that, like dog food, cat food, you know, livestock feed, you know, horse feed, cow feed, all that sort of stuff. I said, okay, yeah, no worries. Anyway, so first mate over on the table, he's checking my logbook, checking my license, whatever they do there. Second bloke, he's walking around, looking at the tyres, you know, like giving me signals to turn your lights on, turn your indicators on, put your foot on the brake, checking all my lights and all that. Anyway, he does his rounds, and he calls out to the other guy over at the table. How's his logbook? And he says, his logbook's fine. He said, okay, I'm going to have another look. I'm going to have another walk around. So he has another walk around, and he gets on his little skid thing. I think we're going to have the same glare that we had the other week. We may have to drive like this, people. Could be still a bit glary, but or is it any difference? A little bit. Is this guy going to pull up? Yep. I thought he was going to pull up because he's got his brakes on. Otherwise I would have let him go in front of me. So he gets his little skid, his little skateboard out, and he's bloody slide underneath, probably looking for oil leaks or, you know, whatever they're looking for. I don't know, I'm not a fucking truck mechanic. Anyway, he gets out, and he goes over to his buddy over on the table there, and I can hear him talking. I can see him talking, but I can't hear what they're saying. Anyway, they're over there. Anyway, one of them says to me, mate, your logbook's fine, truck's fine. What'd you say you've got on? I said, oh, it's like pet food, pet produce. And he goes, where are you going to? I said, Newcastle. I said, okay. You're overweight. You're overloaded. I was like, shouldn't be. We run mass management. And he says, for fuck's sake. I want to get in front of this one because there's a police car up here. So I want to get out of this left lane. And plus I get around him. God, they go slow. We'll get around this guy too. Why am I overtaking cars while we're in a semi going uphill? Granted, I am empty, but people shouldn't be going that goddamn slow. We're going to stay out here. I would get over, but old mate and the fuel tanker up here, we're going to be going quicker. His lane ends. So it's all about, look, like future viewing. A lot of people don't do this. He needs to come over, so I'm just going to give him that room. Get past him with a little voice crack like that. See, now he wants to come over. Rather than me being right next to him, you give him that extra bit of room. Was I holding anyone up? Absolutely no one. There's no one behind me. So anyways, like, you're overweight, you're overloaded. You can only be 20 ton. I was like, no, we run mass management. And he says, no. And all he said was, he said, your sticker. I said, and my window's down because I'm talking to him, and I'm hanging out the door, and I'm like, it's right there, like, I'm pointing to it. He said, no, your mass management's cancelled on this truck. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, you've just said my sticker. I said, why is it cancelled? I'm only a worker, so I don't do the registrations and, you know, making sure documents are up to date and all that sort of. I don't do any of that. There was a person at the place that specifically that was her task, her role, making sure all that sort of stuff is up to date, registrations are all checked, you know, things are booked in to go over the pits, have registration inspections, you know, trailers, trucks, all that. There's someone that done that. And I was like, well, we drive out of Sydney every day, like. And he said, oh, it's not your mass management, it's only this truck is cancelled because of your sticker. And I was like, why? Well, like, what do you mean? And look, the thing is, I'm not rude, I'm very polite. You go there, I'll any questions they ask, I'll tell them. You know, you go there with a bad attitude and you're going to have a bad time. You go to a weighbridge or you get pulled over by a cop or whatever, you treat them, I'm not going to say you worship them, but you just tell them what they want to hear. They ask you a question, you answer it, and, you know, like, it's going to be a better time for you. So it wasn't me, but I was like, I'm not going to argue with you, but what do you mean? You know, like, the sticker's there. And he said, your sticker's faded. So that voids your mass management. You can't run mass management if you've got a faded sticker. And I was like, what? What do you mean? So you're going to tell me that I can't carry 1 extra ton because I've got a faded sticker? Anyway, he said, yep, your logbook's fine, your truck's fine. If you drive directly to your base, which you've told me that you're going to, you drive directly there, I'll let you go, but you will be leaving with a fine. Righto. Anyway, the fine goes to the company. The fine doesn't go to me, the driver. The fine just goes directly to the company. So I was like, okay. I'm not going to argue with you. Like, yeah, this guy's already made his decision. Anyway, I get back to the yard, I reverse into the yard, park it up, and instead of unloading myself, I just walk straight into the office and all that. I get this bit of paper, I slam it down on the fucking desk in there, and the boss is there, and I just say, come and have a look at this. Will you look at this? And he said, what is it? I said, I got a fine. He said, oh, what did you get a fine for? I said, oh, honestly, I don't know, but he's telling me that the mass management's cancelled on this truck because it's got a faded sticker. Anyway, at this point, the boss gets up and he starts walking over. And as he's walking over, he goes, what do you mean a fucking faded sticker? So you get a bit, you know, like, as you would. You're like, what do you fucking mean? How much is this fine for? Anyway, I can't remember what the fine was for. So you've got, I think it's, again, I could be wrong, but I think it's 3 levels. You got, say, like, you got a minor breach of overweight, you got a major breach, which is like what I got. I was a major breach, and then there's like a severe, you know, like that's where they'll ground you. They'll say, you are not going anywhere. You need to organise something to come here and unload that truck because it's too much. It wasn't that, but it was a major breach. Anyway, whatever the fine was, and his boss is looking at it, and he goes, oh, it's got a fucking court date on it. I said, oh, mate, I don't know. So, because it's a major breach, he said, you're only allowed to cart 20 tonne. I was 21 point, I think, oh, that's what else I didn't say. I looked up at the scales, and I thought I was 21.3, according to my scales on the trailer. I was actually 21.24, so I was under the tolerance anyway. I was under the 21.25 tolerance. 21.24, he told me you're only allowed to carry 20 tonne, you know, plus your tolerance. So I was 990 kilos over. So you might as well say 1 tonne. Anyway, he's like, oh, there's a fucking court date here. And he said, well, what does he mean with this sticker, Shane? What did he even tell you? And I said, well, I don't know. Like, he told me that the sticker's faded, so you can't run mass management with a faded sticker. I don't know. Like, that's all he told me. I don't understand it. He's like, that same fucking sticker has been on there since we bought that truck 9 fucking years ago. He's getting swearing a bit. And I was like, I know. Like, I haven't been here for 9 years. But I was like, that's been the same sticker ever since I started driving it. Anyway, he pays the fine. And anyway, he says, I was like, oh, look, I'm really sorry, you know. I thought I was within the, you know, the limits, because it says on there what you actually do tear out. And he goes, yeah, you were fine. He says, I'm not upset. And look, I really respect him for what he said here. And, you know, he said, I'm not upset at all. He said, if you have never got a fine for being overloaded, you're not carting freight. He said, if you've never carted more than what you probably should be, you're not carrying freight. Like, fucking load it up. And I was like, well, that's what I did, you know. They asked me, you know, could I take these extra pallets? I went there initially for, well, whatever it was, 16 tonne, and I drove out with 24 and a half. You know, like, I got an extra 8.5 tonne on. I'm making him extra money. All that money was wasted when you pay the fine. You know, the whole load was probably wasted with whatever the fine cost. Anyway, he goes to court. He gets his solicitor. Anyway, he's told me, he's explained what happened in court. There was, like, you know, a couple of weeks later. So he goes to the traffic court. So this judge, or whatever, I assume, sees the same stuff all the fucking time. You know, it's traffic court. So it's people for speeding, you know, speeding through school zones, drink driving, people that have overloaded their trucks, people that have got driving unregistered vehicles, people that are caught driving while they already don't have a license, all that stuff. This guy sees the same stuff all the time. That's his job, is traffic court. Anyway, so he goes in, and what he's explained to me is the solicitor's got all these fucking bits, all these paperwork, and obviously he knows what he's doing. He says, you know, can you read out this, you know, which is highlighted here? And he's like, well, yes, it's a date of when this truck was last inspected. And he goes, can you tell me when that date was? And it was like 3 weeks prior to, you know, and he says, okay. And he says, what has that got to do with an overloading thing? And he says, well, that vehicle had a registration check in at Newcastle 3 weeks prior, done by the NHVR. The NHVR, all, you know, they're all intertwined and all that with issuing, and in this case, saying we're going to cancel your mass management. They're all it's all involved. There's half a dozen bloody, you know, people that, because you got to register your truck and trailer, and then you got to have it registered with a maintenance scheme, and there's all this shit involved. And obviously one part of it is having a sticker that is issued by the NHVR or someone, you know, like Transport for New South Wales, but NHVR is involved in it. This truck went over the pits for a registration check. Now, you're telling me that you know, you're going to cancel the mass management for something that's not maintained on this truck. In fact, a faded sticker. The sticker doesn't fade overnight. It would have been to the same fade level, mind you, where the guy's standing 5 meters away at the desk. It's clearly legible, you know. Instead of like a light baby blue, sort of sky blue color, it was just like a little bit lighter. It was still blue. The lettering and numbers on it were still legible. It was just that maybe they had a quota to make. My book was fine, the truck was fine. They've looked at the weights and went, oh, can we fucking screw him over somewhere? Look, I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, but I think that's what happened. They had a quota to make, they had to find something, they couldn't find anything else, and then they just said, we'll just do this. That's what they were talking over there for. Like I said, I could be wrong. Maybe that's not what happened, but I think that's what happened. Anyway, so they said, why wasn't this picked up by the NHVR when it went over the pits 3 weeks ago, which was the same sticker that was on there. Nothing else has changed. It wasn't covered in dirt. You know, like saying all these things and saying, well, if he's at fault, why didn't the people that done a registration check pick it up and fail it, or say something back then when it went over the pits for an inspection? Why wasn't it checked? Got thrown out straight away. This shouldn't have been a fine. Oh, and to be honest, we didn't even get a new sticker. They just said the sticker's fine. We never end up getting issued a new sticker. They said just keep the same sticker. There's nothing wrong with that fucking sticker. The boss got reimbursed for the fine. The only thing that he had to pay was his solicitor, you know, the fees for the solicitor, and like his time. Oh, thanks, mate. I thought you were going to stay in that middle lane there. We'll get up around this caravan up here, and then we'll grab that left lane unless there's another slowie in the left. Oh, we're cruising at the moment. We are cruising. He could be a bit slow, but there's not much traffic, so we'll just grab that left lane. If we need to get back out, we'll just get back out. Yeah, so the fine got thrown out, the charge got thrown back out, got wiped off, you know, the registration record or whatever. No, you don't even need a new sticker. You're fine. Yeah, so he's out of pocket for his solicitor fees and, you know, just his time. But how fucking stupid. Oh, you can't cart this extra weight on your truck and trailer, which is maintained and, you know, got checked 3 weeks ago, but because you've got a fucking slightly faded sticker, you're gonna, that voids your ability to carry a fucking extra ton of weight. Yeah, ridiculous. So yeah, we'll keep cruising here. If you're new here, what I like to do at the end of any of my stories or whatever, I'll give a random word. Random little topic, subject, whatever, and people throw it in the comments. And sometimes, yeah, there's good stories, good little things that people say. So the story of the week, word of the week, sticker. Give me your best sticker story. Do you have a sticker on your car? Have you found a faded sticker? Did you try and peel a sticker off your motorbike and it fucking scratched off and now you've got a half fucking peeled off sticker that's been on there for 7 years? I don't know. I'm sure there's some silly stories. Do you still have, before they cancelled, like stopped giving them out, do you still have like an old registration, like a rego label sticker on your car from like 1997? Because they don't give you rego stickers for your windows anymore. I don't know. Just tell me the best story you can come up with that's about a sticker or got sticker in it. Have you been pulled over? Because actually I've seen people with these before where they've got that, they'll have them on their windscreen or their back window and it's like FU and then it's the breast cancer sign, like the thing, and it's so if it's turned sideways it almost looks like it says fuck. So it's FU and then the ribbon and then it says cancer, so it's like fuck cancer and it's FU then the ribbon cancer. And yeah, I've seen people having to peel them off because, you know, I'm guessing the police pull them up and say, oh, that's offensive, you can't have that on your car, that's, you know, we're in a public place, you got to take that off. Has that happened to you? I don't know, just give me your best story with sticker in it, your best sticker story. We got Mount White just up the road here, the criminals of the subject today. Let's hope we don't get called in there. I am empty. Look, the chances of getting called into a weighbridge empty, very, very, very slim. On top of that, I'm empty. On top of that, I started my book like an hour and a half ago, maybe. So I know I'm fucking fine. They're not going to find nothing. But you just don't want to go in there for the sake of not going in there. Oh, road work ahead. They were ripping up the scales the other day, the entrance to the weighbridge. So you didn't even have to go in. It looks like they're still doing it. It's a happy day when you see the sign that says closed. This is why I'm a truck driver and not a singer, because I can't do it. Yes, you love to see it. Way station closed, return to highway. We're not returning, we're just not entering. So yeah, it looks like they, get in your own fucking lane, idiot! I was about to toot me horn at you again. Blokes all over the fucking road. What are they doing? Yeah, they're digging it up, they're doing something there. This is the time where you'd be like, oh yeah, I want a cart extra weight, I can go super heavy, because you know you're not going to get called in, but oh well, I am what I am anyway. Yeah, give me your best sticker story. If you've watched all the way to here and you're not already subscribed, just do me a favour and just click the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, I don't make any money from it. I don't know, just join the community, join in. You can be one more toward 10,000. What do I get at 10,000? Just the fact that I can say that there's 10,000 people that join along for whatever I do. I'm going to end it here, but if you want to watch on, I'll try and, sorry if I don't, but I'll try and just clip through a few little things that happened at, you know, the previous recordings. And I'll try and clip them all through and just have like a little snippet. It might only be an extra minute or something, but yeah, I'll put that after I say this. So yeah, take care. Bye now, and thanks for tuning in with another little voice crack. Bye. But I will say, it's kind of noisy. Sorry fellas, until we get up to this corner up here, we're going to have this visor down because that glare ain't real good. if you can't tell, it's kind of cool at the moment. I don't know if you can see, but blowing a bit of smoke or steam at the moment out of my mouth. Oh, look at old mate there. I don't want to knock your shoulders off there, mate, but if you're talking to someone through the driver's window, maybe you should go to the passenger side and talk to them. We're back. I tried to record back there and then I realised I still had this down, so it sort of cuts the view out a bit. We'll start again. So after the other day, going through the scales, all that sort of gibberish, you know, you got your weighbridge docket, all that sort of stuff. Checked it the next morning and everything was smack on exactly where I had it from the night before, the afternoon before. Now, I can't remember if I've shared this one before or not. So, if I have, we're going to go over it again. The time I was overweight. Now, I'm not talking about my midsection. Oh, fuck's sake, mate. Thought there was more traffic. I could have bloody waited behind him, but we're all right. Now, we just don't want to see lines of traffic going underneath us because we're going that way, and what did I tell you, people? It ain't looking real fucking pretty for us. The not so glorious side of trucking. The old transport fucking traffic jam. We might have to just run with this down because it's a bit of a glary scenario at the moment. I think there's probably going to be an accident because this ain't even moving. The left lanes are not even moving. Yeah, the time I was overweight. Like I said, I'm not talking about my midsection. I'm not talking because I'm a bit fucking, you know, soft around the midsection. I'm talking about the time I got called into a weighbridge and they said, mate, you've got too much freight on. There's an extra add-on, can we put this on? And mate, you can't merge that. Just wait until the merge comes. You're not going to lose any time, buddy. In fact, I'll even try to get in front of you for that. Unless he just tries to get over again. But I'm going to slot in right behind this bloody, this little tow, or not a tow truck. Oh, there he goes. I'm going to slot in straight behind this little car carrier here. So, yeah, it was, can you add more on? Can you add more on? Can you add more on? Next thing I know, I was like, I've got a pretty damn full load here. I'll give him a wave. Thanks, mate. We'll wind that window up because it is a bit chilly still. Oh, he has another walk around. Didn't find anything the first time. Mate, you just cut in front of me. Can you just keep up with the flow? Didn't find anything the first time, so he's now doing the second walk around. He's on his slide, he's getting underneath, checking for, you know, oil leaks or fluid leaks or, you know, whatever. He said, you're over a ton over. What? What? One? Nah. What? How am I 1 ton over? And he's pointing up to his little... Oh, there, so there was... Is this all it was? A little breakdown in the emergency lane, and all this fucking traffic is going so ridiculously slow. I know it's fucking peak hour. It's, what, 7:58, so it's 8 o'clock. But is that honestly what we're so fucking slow for? Unless he's only just recently now pulled off onto the shoulder. He's got a flat tyre. Or a fucking, I don't know, he's broken down. He looked like he had a flat tyre, but his bonnet's open. Is that it? Is that honest? This fucking city sucks. This is Sydney, if you didn't know. Anyway, he's like, yeah, you're over a ton over. And I look up at this LED fucking light board with all the fucking axle weights, and fair enough, it said 21.240. And I was like, oh, sweet, my fucking scales are fucking calibrated. They're a little bit high. So when I thought I was 21.3, I was actually 21.24 or something. I was actually under the leeway. This idiot ain't... Tell you what, people that do this are bloody dangerous. So he says, no, see that sticker on the side of your truck? I said, yeah, that's a mass management sticker. You got to have one of them labels on your truck to be registered for mass management. Each truck has got a separate sticker. It's got a different number, and it's registered to that bloody, you know, number plate. Like, each truck has to be individually registered. He said, that's... I try and keep that buffer zone so that if something happens, you can brake. You open up that gate, and then just people go, oh, I can fit in there. Oh yeah, that's a good enough spot for me to go. Fucking, I tell you what, I don't know what's worse, Sydney or... But I'm getting sidetracked. Down in Sydney, this is a different job. I was at a different place. How many are gonna try and fucking fit into this gap here? It's called a zipper merge, people. I'm gonna let one person in here, and it's gonna be whoever's at the front of the line. Or maybe I'll just let this little Pantech in. He's just going to keep going up. The smart thing would be, just hold your gap. You're not going to get in while you're next to him. That Pantech's getting in and you can wait. Come on, mate. You've got a gap there, use it. So, I was getting so sidetracked before, and I was just rambling absolute nonsense. So that's why I had to start again. It's gonna be one of those videos. I was like, fuck yes! 21... I'll call you back, people. That's... yeah, okay, so that was the boss. Just had to talk boss stuff, but I can't even remember where I was up to. Am I going to have to restart this video again? Anyway, I get back to the yard. The boss is there, and I say, I slam this thing down. We could probably lift this up now. I slam it down on the fucking bench at the bloody front of the office, and I said, will you look at this? And he comes over, he just said, what is it? So they told me I'm overweight, mass management's cancelled because of a faded sticker. He's like, what do you fucking mean? I can't remember his exact words, but it's pretty much exactly this. What do you fucking mean? I said, I don't know. They told me that the mass management's cancelled because the sticker's faded. He said, Shane, that same sticker's been on there since we bought that truck 9 fucking years ago. I said, I don't know, mate. I've only been driving it for about well, whatever it was, like a year and a half or something at that point. I said, I don't know. And he said, well, he's full of fucking shit. No, you shouldn't have been put as overweight. Crash ahead, right lane closed. Now here's what else pisses me off. All these people will see the same sign I just saw, and right up to wherever this crash is, if there's even a crash, they'll just keep riding that right lane. Look, there's no need to get over, but if you see something going on up ahead, don't just keep riding that right lane. Anyway, he's like, no, well, and I remember this one. He said, Shane, I'm not upset. I said, oh, okay. He said, I'll just tell you this. If you've never got a fine for being overloaded, you're not carrying freight. Happens to the best of us. Oh, okay. He said, how many times have you gone out and you're, I'm not going to talk about doing things that we know we shouldn't be doing, but how many times have you gone out and you're heavy and you just do it anyway? Oh, I'm not going past the weighbridge. Oh, it's late at night, I'll be fine. Yous that know. Anyone that knows, you know. So anyway, I've never been given a fine. My logbook's always, we'll just say I've never had a fine for my logbook. But how fucking ridiculous. Very ridiculous is the answer. The day I just thought, oh, I wonder if I've told the scale story, like me going overweight. I wonder if I've told that story before. Again, I tried to start this video like 3 times and I restarted it, and sorry if I've lost places and I had the phone call and it's been an absolute jumble of a video. If you're new here, sorry, but typically that's how they go. So if for some reason you enjoyed it and you've watched this far and you're not already, please just subscribe. I don't make any money from this, but I don't know, it's like a mini goal for myself now. I want to see if I can make to 10,000 by the end of the year.